You wake up Monday morning. Alarm goes off at 6 a.m., and before your feet even hit the floor, you're already doing math in your head. Rent is due in 5 days. You've got maybe $400 sitting in your account. Payday isn't until Friday. And somewhere between brushing your teeth and pouring your coffee, you make a silent promise to yourself. I just need to work harder. Pick up an extra shift. Say yes to that overtime. Just push through this month and things will be better. So you do. You work the extra hours, you hustle, you grind. And then Friday comes. Paycheck hits, and within 48 hours, it's almost gone. Not because you did anything crazy, not because you splurged on something stupid, it just evaporated. Groceries, transportation, a bill you forgot about. Something small here, something small there, and you're back to square one. Same stress, same math, same Monday. If that hits a little too close to home, I need you to stay with me for this entire video, because what I'm about to walk you through is the actual reason your finances feel stuck, and it has almost nothing to do with how hard you work. My name is Ben, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, hard-working people stay financially stuck. If you're someone who earns a decent income but still feels like money disappears before you can do anything meaningful with it, and you're tired of being told to just budget better or cut out your coffee, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. Here's the thing. From the time we were kids, we were handed one single financial instruction. Work hard, earn money, and everything will be fine. Your parents said it. Your teachers said it. Every motivational poster in every break room in the world says it. And look, I'm not here to tell you hard work doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But hard work alone is not a financial strategy. It never was. Here's what most people don't realize. There are millions of people working 2 and 3 jobs right now who are still living paycheck to paycheck. According to a 2023 report by the Federal Reserve, nearly 37% of Americans said they couldn't cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money or selling something. Think about that number for a second. We're not talking about unemployed people. We're talking about working adults, people with jobs, people with incomes, who are one car repair away from a financial crisis. And this isn't just an American thing either. Studies across the UK, Canada, and Australia show similar patterns. The average person in a developed country is working more hours than their parents did 30 years ago, taking home more money in nominal terms, and yet feeling more financially stressed. So if working harder was the answer, we'd all be doing a lot better by now. Clearly, something else is going on. Let me give you a very simple math example, and I want you to really sit with this one. Imagine 2 people. We'll call them Marcus and Diane. Marcus earns $50,000 a year. Diane earns $90,000 a year. Now, at first glance, you'd say Diane is obviously in better financial shape, right? She earns almost double what Marcus earns. But here's where it gets really interesting. Marcus has learned to live on $38,000 a year. He saves and invests $12,000 every single year. He's been doing this consistently for 10 years. Diane, on the other hand, has expanded her lifestyle every time she got a raise. She drives a nicer car now. She upgraded her apartment. She eats out more. She takes better vacations. And at the end of every month, she saves almost nothing. Sometimes she even carries a small credit card balance because life just got expensive. After 10 years, Marcus has invested $120,000 at a modest 7% average annual return, which is actually below the historical average of the S&P 500. That $120,000 has grown to somewhere around $165,000. Diane has almost nothing saved. She earns more, she works just as hard, and possibly even harder because she's been gunning for those promotions, and yet she is financially behind someone who earns nearly half her salary. That gap isn't about income, it's about behavior, and behavior comes from mindset. Now you might be thinking, okay, Ben, that's a nice story, but it's easier said than done. My expenses are real. My rent is real. The cost of food is real. And you're absolutely right. I'm not dismissing any of that. The cost of living is genuinely hard in a lot of places right now, and I don't want to gloss over that reality. But I also want to challenge you on something, because I think there's a layer underneath all of this that most financial content completely skips. There's a concept in psychology called lifestyle inflation, and it is silently destroying the financial futures of millions of people who genuinely think they're doing okay. Lifestyle inflation is what happens when your spending automatically rises to match or exceed your income every time your income goes up. You get a raise, so you get a nicer car. You get a promotion, so you move to a bigger apartment. Your side hustle starts making money, so you start spending more on things you deserve. And none of these individual decisions feel irresponsible in the moment. That's the dangerous part. The psychological reason this happens is actually fascinating, and once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Human beings are wired for something called relative comparison. We don't measure our financial well-being in absolute terms. We measure it against the people around us. Your neighbor gets a new car, and suddenly your perfectly functional car feels inadequate. Your coworker mentions their kitchen renovation, and suddenly your kitchen looks outdated. Social media makes this 10 times worse because now you're not just comparing yourself to your neighborhood, you're comparing yourself to a curated highlight reel of thousands of people's best moments. And every time you feel that itch to upgrade your lifestyle, what you're really feeling is a psychological trigger, not a genuine financial need.
Here's what most people don't realize about income. Earning more money without changing your relationship with money doesn't make you wealthier. It just makes your problems more expensive. I've spoken to people earning $150,000 a year who are more financially stressed than people earning $60,000 a year because their obligations scaled right alongside their income. Bigger mortgage, more expensive car payments, private school fees, a lifestyle that now requires every dollar of that $150,000 just to maintain itself. This is what I call the income trap, and it's one of the most common patterns I see. People spend years chasing higher income as the solution to their money problems, and when they get there, they find the finish line is moved because income is not the variable that determines financial security. The gap between what you earn and what you spend, that gap is what determines your financial security. And most people, regardless of income level, let that gap stay dangerously small. Let me give you another example that I think will land. Imagine you're carrying a bucket with a hole in the bottom and you're walking to fill it from a river. You can walk faster, you can make more trips, you can even find a bigger river. But if you never fix the hole in the bucket, you are never going to hold water. Working harder and earning more is like walking faster. It feels productive, it looks like progress, but the fundamental problem, the hole, is still there. And fixing the hole isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about understanding why the hole is there in the first place. Look, I want to be really clear about something. The fact that most of us were never taught how money actually works is not your personal failure. Schools spend years teaching us history, literature, algebra, and almost zero time teaching us how compound interest works, what an index fund is, or why your credit score affects your rent payment. This is a systemic gap, and it has real consequences for real people every single day. But here's the thing about gaps in knowledge. Once you see them, you can fill them, and that's exactly what I want to start doing with you right now. So, let's talk about the actual framework that separates people who build wealth from people who don't, because it comes down to 3 fundamental shifts, not tips, not hacks, shifts in how you think about money at a foundational level. The first shift is moving from earning-focused thinking to margin-focused thinking. Most people think about money in terms of income. How much do I make? How can I make more? But financially stable people think about margin. How much of what I make do I actually keep? Even a 10% savings rate on a $50,000 income is $5,000 a year. That's $5,000 working for you, building over time, creating a cushion that changes how you make decisions. When you have a $10,000 emergency fund sitting in a high-yield savings account earning 4 to 5% interest, you stop making panic decisions. You stop taking payday loans. You stop putting emergencies on a credit card that charges you 22% interest. The margin creates the breathing room, and the breathing room changes everything. This is where it gets really interesting, and I need you to pay close attention here because this section alone is worth the entire video. Most people think about investing as something you do after you've figured everything else out. You get stable first, then you invest. And I completely understand that logic. It feels responsible. But here's what that logic is actually costing you in real dollar terms. Let's say you're 30 years old right now, and you decide to start investing just $300 a month. Not $3,000, not $1,000, just $300 at an average annual return of 8%, again, historically reasonable for a diversified index fund portfolio. By the time you're 60, that $300 a month becomes approximately $440,000. You put in $108,000 of your own money over 30 years, and the market added over $330,000 on top of that. That extra $330,000 didn't come from you working harder. It came from time and consistency. Now, here's the painful flip side. If you wait until you're 40 to start that same $300 a month investment, just 10 years later, you only end up with around $176,000 by age 60. Same contribution amount per month, same rate of return, but because you waited 10 years, you ended up with $264,000 less. That is the cost of waiting. That is what "I'll start investing when things settle down" actually means in dollar terms. And things, by the way, rarely just settle down on their own. You have to make them settle down by making a decision. Now, you might be thinking, Ben, this all sounds great, but I genuinely don't have $300 to invest. I'm barely keeping the lights on. And I hear you, I really do. So let me address this directly without minimizing what you're going through. If right now your finances are truly stretched, the answer isn't to feel guilty about not investing. The answer is to get brutally honest about where your money is actually going, because most people genuinely don't know. Here's an exercise I want you to try this week. Go back through the last 30 days of your bank statements and your card transactions, every single one, and categorize every purchase. Not to judge yourself, not to feel bad, just to see the truth. Most people who do this exercise find somewhere between $150 and $400 a month in spending they either forgot about, didn't realize was recurring, or genuinely don't value anymore. Subscription services you signed up for 2 years ago, food delivery fees that add up to $60 a month, an insurance plan you've been meaning to shop around on for 2 years. These things are not trivial. They are your retirement account sitting there disguised as convenience. And I'm not saying you need to eliminate everything enjoyable from your life. That's not sustainable, and honestly, that's not the point. The point is intentionality, spending money on things you actually value and stopping the leak on things you've just been paying for out of habit. When you do that audit and find even $150 a month of spending that isn't adding real value to your life, you've just found your starting investment. That's where it begins.
Let me walk you through those 3 shifts I mentioned, because I want to be practical here, not just conceptual. The first shift, as I said, is from earning-focused to margin-focused. Stop asking, how do I make more, as your first question, and start asking, how do I keep more of what I already make? Those are very different questions, and they lead to very different actions. The second shift is from reactive to intentional. Most people manage money reactively. They earn, they spend, and whatever's left, if anything, is what they save. Intentional money management flips that entirely. You decide in advance what you're saving and investing. You move that money first, ideally automatically, the day your paycheck lands, and then you live on what's left. This is sometimes called paying yourself first, and it sounds simple, but it is genuinely one of the most powerful behavioral changes you can make. When saving is automatic, you never feel the temptation to spend it because you never see it sitting there. The third shift is from short-term comfort to long-term vision. This is the hardest one, and I won't pretend otherwise. We are wired as human beings to prioritize what's right in front of us. A meal today feels more real than retirement security 20 years from now. A vacation this summer feels more real than compound interest in 15 years. This is called present bias, and it's completely normal. It's how our brains are built. But part of developing financial maturity is learning to make your future feel real enough to compete with your present. One of the most effective ways to do this is to get genuinely specific about what you're building toward. Not, I want to be comfortable, but I want to have $500,000 invested by age 55 so that I have real options to work less, to help my kids, to not panic every time something goes wrong. Specificity creates motivation in a way that vague goals never can. I don't want this video to end and have you feel inspired for 20 minutes and then go back to exactly what you were doing. So I want to give you 4 very specific things you can do this week, not someday, this week, that will start shifting your financial trajectory. The first thing is to do that 30-day spending audit I mentioned. Open your banking app right now if you want. Go through last month, categorize everything, find the leaks. This is your foundation. You cannot build on ground you haven't mapped. The second thing is to open a high-yield savings account if you don't already have one. A regular savings account at a big bank is probably earning you 0.01% interest right now. High-yield savings accounts at online banks are currently offering 4 to 5%. If you have $5,000 sitting in a regular savings account, you're earning about 50 cents a year in interest. In a high-yield account, that same $5,000 earns around $200 to $250 a year for doing absolutely nothing different except where the money sits. The third thing is to start the investing conversation with yourself, even if you're not ready to invest yet. Research what a low-cost index fund is. Look up what a Roth IRA or a workplace pension or a tax-advantaged retirement account looks like in your country. Understand the vehicle before you try to drive it. Knowledge is the prerequisite to action, and you can build the knowledge right now without spending a dollar. And the fourth thing, and this might surprise you, is to find one person in your life to talk about money with. Not to brag, not to compare, but to normalize the conversation. Financial isolation is one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck. When you talk about money with someone you trust, you start to break the shame cycle that keeps so many people from making any moves at all. Here's where I want to leave you. The idea that working harder is the primary path to financial security, that idea has kept a lot of genuinely good, genuinely hard-working people running on a treadmill for years. And I think you deserve better than that. Not because you're special in some abstract motivational sense, but because you're actually capable of understanding how money works and applying it, and most people never even get this far in the conversation. The math on building wealth is not complicated. It's not reserved for people with high incomes or finance degrees or rich parents. It is genuinely available to anyone who is willing to make a few fundamental shifts in how they think and what they do consistently over time. Time is the variable that matters most, and every week you wait is a week of compound growth you don't get back. But every week you start is a week that starts working for you instead of against you. So, start this week, not perfectly, not with a massive amount, just start. Do the audit, open the account, make the decision that your financial future is worth 20 minutes of your honest attention. Because here's the thing, you've already been working hard. Maybe it's finally time to make your money work just as hard as you do. If this video helped you see something differently, please hit that thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people find this content. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper on this stuff, because we're just getting started. And drop a comment below and tell me, which of those 3 shifts felt most relevant to where you are right now? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video.